What is up, guys? I'm Mike Muhammad, and today I wanted to get some things off my chest about Metroid Prime 4 because I am finding that I have to reconcile that perhaps I am fundamentally different from most Metroid fans or most Nintendo fans in general. The thing is, for me, is I come from the perspective of being both a PC gamer and a Nintendo gamer. I grew up with both PC gaming and Nintendo gaming. I love both sides of gaming. I had most of the consoles throughout my life. I don't really mess with PlayStation or Xbox anymore because I don't feel they have much to offer. But Nintendo seems to have a lot to offer, and PC also has a lot to offer. And the thing I've realized is it's like when you are a PC plus Nintendo person, it is almost as if you are like the child of like a Palestinian father and an Israeli mother. You are the union that is not supposed to exist, basically. And people do not understand you. You come from a perspective that the PC people don't fully understand and the Nintendo people don't fully understand. So that's kind of why I feel like it's so hard for me to reconcile how people feel about Metroid Prime 4. Because I feel like this game was in many ways sort of made for me. And it's so strange seeing people react so negatively to things that I don't find bothers me at all. So basically, to sum it up briefly, I have like one singular criticism of Metroid Prime 4. I think this game was clearly designed to help people finish the game because a lot of people playing Metroid Prime games, they do not actually finish the game. Because if you look at like Metroid Prime Remastered, a lot of people have not actually rolled the credits on that game. Basically, it's because of the map. The maps in Metroid games and Metroid Prime in particular are so labyrinthine that people just get lost and they can't finish the game. So I think that Nintendo and Retro made the choice to make the map much less labyrinthine. It's a much simpler, generally speaking, more linear type of map and progression in the game, which probably will help more people roll credits on this game, but it disappoints the older Metroid fans who kind of built that Metroid brain, where part of the fun of Metroid Prime, for example, is by the time you finish that game, at first the map was confusing you. By the end of the game, you know everything on the map. You know how everything connects to everything. You understand which abilities open which pathways. You kind of get the map. But Metroid Prime 4 feels much more designed to be kind of a linear progression. The desert could be better. I guess that's another criticism. Other than that, those are my two things. Map could be better. It's a little too simplistic for me, and the desert could have a little bit more going on there. Other than that, I feel like this is probably better than most Metroid games. In terms of the technical aspects, this game probably won't even ever be surpassed on the Switch 2. This is a Switch. Well, it is a Switch 1 crossover title, but it's launching in the first year of the Switch 2, and honestly speaking, I think it's extremely likely that we'll never see a single game on the Switch 2 look or perform as well as Metroid Prime 4. So it's really friggin' stupid to me to see people even insinuate that this game has bad graphics. Maybe from YouTube encoding, you lose some aspect of the detail, but if you actually sit down and play this game, it looks goddamn incredible. Every single person who actually sits down and plays this game has to say, wow, this game looks incredible. And another thing I've had to reconcile is that because I'm a PC gamer, because I grew up playing first person shooter games and still play first person shooter games and still love first person adventure games like the Doom series, Half-Life series, Portal, other games like that are that are first person shooters but are more focused on the adventure aspect, because that's been one of my favorite genres of games. And I've also played competitive FPS games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, Counter Strike, and whatnot, Halo, because I understand first person shooter games. I understand how useful higher frame rates are, like 120 FPS, 144 FPS. Understand how useful that is in a first person shooter game when you're actually trying to track enemies, and how much easier it makes it to track enemies. I am completely shocked by how many people are not playing Metroid Prime 4 in 120 FPS mode. Because to me, I try this game in 4K 60, and my immediate reaction to 4K 60 mode is this game looks sluggish now. Not to say that it doesn't fairly consistently hit 4K 60, because it does. It generally does stay at 60 frames per second, maybe a few frame drops here and there, but compared to 120 FPS mode, it looks sluggish. And that's the thing, is apparently tons of people cannot even see 120 FPS. Which is so hard for me to understand, because to me, it's like night and day comparing 60 frames per second to 120 FPS. I immediately feel the difference. It's like night and day. I feel like I have a huge extra degree of control in 120 FPS mode. And also, in this game in particular, the 4K mode does add more detail, but I feel like it's not enough detail to justify halving the frame rate. It looks a little bit better. It doesn't look astoundingly better. I find the 1080p 120 FPS mode, it's a very detailed 1080p. Even in handheld mode, in 720p 120 FPS, it still looks very detailed. Considering the screen would be smaller and closer to your face, you can live with it. It still looks fantastic. It still looks incredible. And so it's really surprising to see most people not play this game in 120 FPS mode. Another thing is it doesn't really seem like that many people are using the pointer controls. Guys, why are you not using pointer controls? Seriously, like I am using pointer controls with maxed out motion control sensitivity. I put the dead zone down to, I think it's 0, the minimum dead zone. Maxed camera sensitivity, maxed motion control sensitivity, 0 dead zone, pointer motion controls, 120 FPS mode. When you put on all those settings, what I found is that this game, for a console game, feels the closest to the amount of degree of control that you would have playing a first-person shooter game with mouse and keyboard on PC in high frame rate. It's incredible, the degree of control. I feel like I have perfect friggin' control. And it's extremely intuitive. Maybe it takes like an hour or two to adjust, but once you adjust, it feels so good. It feels like you have incredibly precise, incredibly intuitive control, much like you would have playing a first-person shooter game in high frame rate on PC. And this is the thing I'm talking about how no one understands the thinking of a PC plus Nintendo person. Is most of the Nintendo people do not understand this at all. They do not understand how much of a degree of control you can have in this game. They don't even take advantage of it. They're not taking advantage of 120 FPS mode. They're not taking advantage of the pointer controls. They're not realizing that now it's for me, it is incredibly immersive. It feels like I start this game and I am Samus. It feels like real life almost. Like I'm in the suit in real life. And the degree of control feels like I can just look right behind me in a split second and then turn right in front of me and just aim at everything incredibly precisely, incredibly smoothly with that 120 FPS tracking. And so it's so surprising to see nobody use these modes and nobody appreciates them. Except, I'm guessing, other PC gamers who actually see how useful this is. If you're a PC gamer who understands first-person shooter games and then you try these controls on Prime 4, you're astounded. You're like, wow, There is no console game that has ever done anything close to this before. You could compare it to Metroid Prime 3 or Trilogy with the infrared bar, but I personally find like it's just easier using the gyro controls and you can just recalibrate the camera whenever you need. So that's another aspect, the fact that people are not appreciating the controls. The music, I think for the most part is like some of the best Metroid Prime music ever. And these NPCs that people have so much problem with, honestly, my thoughts are like I was reading the previews and reviews for this game, I was expecting Miles McKenzie to be like up your ass constantly, constantly friggin' annoying you. This doesn't seem to be the case at all to me. If anything, my thought was, I wish Miles McKenzie talked more. It doesn't. He seems unavailable for several like moments in the games. You can't even contact him if you don't know where you're going right now. And he doesn't even have that many voice lines. If you go up to him and talk to him, he has like a handful of voice lines and stuff, and then he just starts repeating. I think they could have done way more. He's not that annoying. He's actually kind of a useful character in the game. And yeah, he's a little bit nerdy, but like, whatever. Like, it's kind of nice to have this kind of comic relief character to counter the stoic badassery of Samus. And I haven't encountered some of the other NPCs, but my first reaction to Miles McKenzie is these reviewers are some goddamn crybabies. Like, this character is not intrusive at all. At all. This character is not intrusive. In Metroid Prime Remastered, instead what you had was this thing like beep, 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 and it just like gave you an explanation of where to go. So the games have already been trying to lead you in the right direction before. Now they just have a voiced character doing it. And he's really not annoying. I do not understand people complaining so much about this character. The motorcycle is awesome. The fact that you can scan everything and shoot everything while you're riding this motorbike, I think, is a great use of control. It's crazy because like you're driving and you're aiming. It's almost like I would compare it to playing Cyberpunk on PC or maybe Grand Theft Auto 5 on PC. And I don't know, the controls are just so good in this game. I was a little skeptical at first of the pointer controls and the button layout, but once I got used to it, I started to realize like having the scan on Y, this makes a lot of sense because you really do have to scan everything. And some of the abilities, like you're going to go into that scan mode, like the Psychic Charge Beam. And I was so skeptical of Psychic Charge Beam at first, and then I was surprised by how many enemies actually had me using it because it's almost like the best way to fight against them is to use that Psychic Charge Beam to kind of slow things down and hit three of them at the same time. And then there's one boss in particular I won't spoil that's really built around the Psychic Charge Beam, and by the end of that boss fight, I was like, wow, this is one of the best boss fights I've played in the Prime series. So for me, even though I'm really only a couple hours deep into this game, I gotta say I disagree with nearly every criticism of the game, and I feel that most Nintendo gamers are not really equipped to understand what this game is doing. It's a really rare union. It's a first-person adventure game made for people who love Metroid and Zelda and stuff. So it's just so weird. It fits into this odd like Venn diagram where you are not fully appealing to the PC people because a lot of PC people do not have a Nintendo Switch or a Switch 2. So they're not going to appreciate this game because they'll never play it. And then you're not appealing to so many Nintendo people because they don't understand anything about first-person games. They don't understand the technical triumphs of this game, or the triumphs in terms of the controls, or like they don't appreciate 120 FPS mode, or any of these things. Only the people who are both PC and Nintendo people, I feel like, will fully appreciate what Metroid Prime 4 is. And that's what I mean when I say this game feels like it was made for me. And so It feels sad. It feels sad for me to think that I'm enjoying this game so much, and it feels like most people can't share that enjoyment. And then there's going to be a bunch of people who were on the fence about this game, and they're just going to see such a mixed bag of feelings about it, and then they're going to be like, oh well, maybe I should skip this game then. It's really disappointing to me. It's really disappointing, and it just feels like Nintendo fans in general don't appreciate the Metroid series, but they're especially not appreciating Prime 4 because most of them just don't really understand first person games. Or first person games in a 3D space like this. Or high frame rate games, and they're not even using the pointer controls or the motion controls, and it's like it's so frustrating to me. I genuinely feel like if I could like reach out to some of these people and be like, okay, let me go into your settings and fix everything. Now play the game like this. I feel like if I could set it up the way I'm playing the game with pointer controls at 120 FPS and and controls and max sensitivity and zero dead zone, I feel like if I set up the game for people, maybe they would try it a little bit the way I've been playing and they'd be like, oh, I did not even experience this game like this at all. Oh, this is like a very different experience now. I'm actually liking this more. But I don't get the opportunity to do that. I can't just go to people's house and do that. I can only talk about it here and express like my thoughts about it. So it's very bittersweet. I'm really enjoying this game, and it feels so sad to me that so many people are not enjoying this game in the same way. And I just have to reconcile that I am a very different Nintendo fan and a very different Metroid fan, apparently, from most of the people playing this game. So, yeah, I'm loving this game. I wish the maps were a little bit more labyrinthine, but I understand why they simplified the maps. And I don't know. I don't have many other criticisms of this game. I feel like this game has to be at least a 9 out of 10, unless they really drop the ball further down the line. But yeah, I just needed to get that off my chest. That's my thoughts on Metroid Prime 4 in the beginning. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and thank you for watching.